All right, so I'm going to jump into another section that is good to overview is our communication. So Taxum offers lots of methods of communication, right? One of the main ways is to email your clients, and emailing your clients is simply going to make communication much smoother, especially if you do it within TaxDome, because although you have your inbox outside of TaxDome that you can still reply your clients through and do everything that you need to do, um, getting that synchronization in TaxDome is just a nice way to keep things in one place. We'll talk about secure messaging. Our chat message inside of TaxDome is a really great way to keep in contact with your clients. And we also have SMS messaging if you need to use that. First thing that I want to kind of focus on here is our email communication. So our email communication, and let's actually go to an account where I actually have history here. If I go to emails, this is how the email synchronization looks like. You will see if there's any attachments in the email. You can see on the right side when that communication was made. And for example, if I open an email like this, if I want to reply to it, we can click on this little icon that is a reply section. So this is where you can reply to your clients. Again, you can schedule this, you can add attachments, pretty much everything that you can do in your regular inbox, you can do here. Obviously, it's not an extensive functionality, but it's the basics that you need to have a reply to your client. Again, you can always manage this communication outside of TaxDome. And if you reply to your clients outside of TaxDome, it still will be visible in here because email sync mirrors and copies all emails. So what if you want to delete an email? You can't do it through TaxDome. Okay, I can't say like delete or something like that. You can just view them because they're mirror copies. Okay, if you want to delete an email, go to your inbox in your real inbox, not the mirror, and delete that email. And once you delete the email, Taxum will always be refreshing the synchronization and it will remove it from visibility here. And let's say I have it open and right now I delete it from my inbox. This will create it'll be an error that will be created here. If you happen to click on it or try to reply to it, it'll say that it can't find it anymore because really it doesn't exist if you did delete it on your original inbox. Really easy to create new emails. Click on new. It'll be predetermined the address for that account. And then here you can use, maybe a predetermined email. Again, we have predetermined emails that you can use. And if not, then again, you can, from scratch, create your own emails. The great thing about email communication and many of the other communications that I'm going to talk about shortly is short codes. Short codes are amazing. If you don't know what they are triggers to call upon certain fields of your accounts to bring them over to whatever you'd like. So for example, if I say something like hello, short code account name, comma, whatever that account name is, it's going to autofill in here. I'll let that sink in, right? For those of you who don't know what short codes are, if I do a short code of the account name, it'll automatically fill in for you. So if you send an email to 500 clients and you say, hello, account name, it will fill in the information for you. So you never have to tailor an email again. It'll automatically do it for you. Specifically in emails, if you want to do account name, that could be like Margin Homer Simpson or Marge Simpson, right? But instead of account name, because it could potentially be an LLC or a company, if you want to do a short code for first name, you can say first name, like, hi, George. we're moving to a new portal. This is what's going on, right? This is a beautiful way of tailoring emails. Usually you can do this particularly with emails with first name, last name. Generally with everything else, you may be able to do that with account name, which generally you do want to use. All right, so I'll get out of here for now. I hope you have a little bit more clarity on this kind of communication. Let's talk about the communication with chat. All right, similar to chats that have always been available to us, whether it's, chatting on a computer or, we've familiarized ourselves with how to do back and forth messaging with each other. And we've created this user interface that is very similar to all of the chat features that have ever been created, but they're even better, I feel. So when you chat with somebody, you can create a new chat from scratch. But as you can see here, you can view all of the chats that you've had with your clients. Yours on your end is probably blank. I've done a lot of testing on my end. That's why you see a lot of conversations. You'll always have a filter on this side. You can always reset it here and see specific um, information. So for example, if you want to see all active chats or archive chats or, tasks that are assigned to your client, it's possible to do that here. So for example, let's take a look at this chat. I messaged my client here and they haven't responded yet, which is fine, but you can also do an internal chat, which means that this is for internal use only. Only your team can see this, and you can tag your team members on here and have an internal conversation your client cannot see, which is a really, really nice way to kind of like get your team together and figure out if there was any issue, get that resolved, change this back to the right visibility, and, you know, send it to your client. You can have reminders on here for certain items. You can link things on here. We can add client requests and link jobs. That'll make sense to you a little bit later on. But in this case of having tasks, you probably heard me say tasks. You can add tasks to your clients. For example, if you ask them to upload a W-2, check when done, you want to make sure they check mark this box when they're done so that you know that they did it, right? And if you don't, it's okay. Your client will be able to attach a document. You'll be able to see a response with whatever attachments they sent over. So these are called client tasks, and your client can just go in there and hit complete whenever you send that over, right? Um, you have so many features on here, again, common to the chat process of any other software that you've been, familiarized with. We have emojis. You can actually embed videos in here, add links, format your text, and add attachments. So this is just another great way of chatting with your clients, right? Other than emailing them. Now, we do have SMS feature. This feature, if you don't have it connected to a third-party SMS provider, because obviously SMS is for text messaging, then this will not work, right? So it will give you this message up here that will tell you that if there's any issues that are going on, it will be addressed. And there's bugs sometimes that come up in Taxome, and we'll let you know exactly what's going on and how to resolve them. So in this case, we are seeing this bug, but I really don't have this connected, so it's not going to work for me anyway. The way you connect an SMS is by going to settings, going to integrations, and then going to SMS. You do need to work with Twilio specifically to set up an account. can take up to 30 days to set up that account so that you can integrate it with TaxDome. And that way you can send text messages through TaxDome and manage everything through here. Usually clients love the chat feature so much that they stick to it because it is a secure portal. TaxDome always has secure features, whether it's chat, whether it's email and file uploads. It's very, very safe. And I always kind of suggest to go through the chat messaging through TaxDome because it's in the portal itself. So that way you're not going through an outside messaging system to provide files and things like that. So if you choose to have SMS, you can integrate it, but I highly suggest you use the chat support that we have internally as well to be able to communicate to your clients. Okay. So now that we have, talked about some of these important items in communication, I want to talk about some of the ways to manage documents, right? So remember, we applied certain folder templates to our clients, and when we open them, they have, like in this case, this client has uploaded a whole bunch of stuff, right, by scanning them. And I can move these by check marking them, clicking on move, and then putting them in the right folder, right? Maybe I want to put them in the 2024 folder and I'll move these files. So it's just a great way to manage files this way. But there is another way that you can manage this in a much easier way. For example, in the private folder, I might want to have all of the old files and folders that I've ever had with this client neatly stored here because I am the only one that can see them, me and my team. So there's a great way to have more scalability on managing files and folders. I'll show you where that is. If you click on Account Settings, and then we scroll all the way down, you'll see Download Windows app. Right now, this is only available for Windows. We'll soon get the Mac OS version available. If you click on this, you will be able to download that application. It is not TaxDome Suite or a software. It's really just a small window to provide you with additional features to manage files and folders. So once you download that, it takes about a minute to download, takes about 2 minutes to install. And after you do that, you should have an icon on your desktop. I'm going to show you a little bit of how that looks like.